When we're breaking social skills down, we want to be able to break them into pieces. Right? So one is social actions. Right? What is it that is being done action-wise, then thinking, then feeling? Right? Those are all parts of it. When I do something, I am being looked at based on what I did. Right? Fortunately, I'm not judged by what I think. Okay? It's what I did. Right? Social thinking is about, once again, the theory of mind and understanding what's appropriate and why. Okay? Can I just walk up and hug somebody when I see them? Or is it high-fiving going to be better? And the feeling. One of the huge things, and this is actually my lesson this week for my social skills groups, is empathy. Being able to understand if somebody is happy or somebody is hurting or whatever they're going through. So being able to have empathy for somebody else. Once again, that's something that they have to be exposed to, they have to be taught how to look at that and how to understand what others are going through. For the most part, most of our kids, it's all about them. You know, they just don't pick up on others hurting or happy or mad or glad or sad or whatever. Okay? And also to overcome the negative feelings that lead to anxiety and fear. All right? So teaching them how to self-monitor is one of the major goals that you want to work towards. For them to know when they're starting to feel upset, when they're starting to feel angry, when they're starting to feel sad, especially if you have a child that has some depressive qualities going on, for them to identify when they're starting. Because if they can identify when they're starting to get a little sad, then they can be taught things to put in place so that it doesn't become a full-blown, depression. All right? And the same thing with anger. Those that have anger issues, when they can start to identify when they're starting to get a little worked up, can keep them from going here. Right? But that's the self-monitoring. That's for them. Identifying the individual needs. What is it that people not know that everyone else knows? What does a person need to learn to do to be successful in the situation? And what feelings or emotions need to be addressed? All right. These are the type of questions that I suggest parents, educators, therapists, whoever I'm talking to, looks at to figure out what are the goals that you should be working on? What are the individual needs? Right. What is it that the person does not know that everybody else does? Maybe your child doesn't know how to initiate a conversation. Maybe your child doesn't know how to ask for help when they need it. What is it that they don't know that everybody else seems to know? That's up there on your goal list. What does a person need to learn to be successful in this situation? So, let's say they don't know how to initiate a conversation. Okay. So, what is it that they need to learn? They need to learn how to be able to approach somebody and start a conversation. And then what feelings or emotions need to be addressed? All right, what is it that's holding them back? All right, maybe they're not initiating a conversation because they're insecure. Maybe they're fearful. Maybe they're not confident in themselves. Maybe when they get anxious or their voice gets all squeaky or something. I don't know. I've seen all kinds of interesting things over time. But that's how you break it down to figure out what is it you want to target. Otherwise, it's too general. Oh, I want to learn to make friends. Yeah, more to it. We can set them up for failure when we put them in a situation that they're not prepared for. Think about your professional life, your work life. Could you imagine going into the job you have today without the prior experiences you've had? Whatever it is that you do. I could not imagine going into a classroom and teaching a bunch of kids with all the challenges without having the prior training that I've had. Okay? You may be an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer or this, that. Can you imagine doing that without having the proper training? So we're going to take kids that can't do things, that can't interact, and drop them in the middle and figure that you should be able to do it. All right? If they don't have that ability to initiate a conversation or to ask for help, and we're going to put them in a situation where they have to do that, how can we expect any different? All right. Often, all right, that's what we get. I had a little boy the other day, 13 years old, 8th grade. Asperger, very Asperger, lots of anxiety. Blew a test, probably the first one that's ever happened to him. All right, on the floor throwing a tantrum. Had no idea how to handle that. Never did that. Right? Took hours to get him back on the track again. Never had that experience of how to deal with that. Was never taught how to self-regulate. Never knew, you know what, I'm feeling bad, it's blowing up, what do I do? Went on the floor and, act like a baby. Instead of, you know what, I need to go talk to somebody. We give the kids the outs. Most of the schools, if you have a kid who is a reactive type of kid, we give them an out to be able to go talk to somebody. Kid had it, didn't know what to do with it. Be aware when the demands of a situation are beyond the skill level of the person. Fill the gap between the demands and the skill set when the person's still learning. Right. And don't confuse intellectual ability with social ability. And that's what we mentioned before. With just because they're level 5 or they're super brilliant, you know what? Doesn't mean that socially they can do. And unfortunately, that's what's happening now with a lot of our very high-functioning kids that are going into the work world. They have the degrees. They've gone through the school. They're lawyers. They're whatever. But they can't hold the job. I have one of the guys that comes to our Saturday program, 25, 26, passed the bar, lawyer and everything, can't hold the job. Can you imagine? They were so busy pushing them through the academics, they missed the whole social. So now we're trying to help put it together so we can do that. Some factors that affect social performance. And once again, this is another one of these. Some may apply to you, some may not. Right? First off, these are all comorbidity issues. What that means is that whether a child is ADHD or autism or Asperger or anxiety or whatever it is, there might be other things that are going on. In my professional experience, it's extremely rare, to have a child with ADHD or on the spectrum and not have something else going on. Very rare. All right? So whether they have motivation issues or sensory, anxiety, ADHD type stuff, whatever it is, all right, these right here tend to be a lot. Whether it's sensory stuff. If you look here, all right, all the lights are covered with these blue tarps. What they do is they take the harshness out of the light. Much more easy on the eyes, much more subtle. Different ways to go about it here. My little disclaimer here, like I said, that I put everywhere. And so I encourage you when you have a chance to take a look at that. And any questions? These are the type of services that we do here. If you have questions about anything, please feel free to let me know before you go. There are drinks and such over there. And thank you for your time.